In the 1930s, the courage and spirit of Americans were tested. As Americans plunged from the prosperity of the Roaring Twenties into the poverty of the 1930s and the Great Depression, the government seemed unable to help them. What happens to a society when large numbers of its citizens fall below the poverty line? What will be the effects on the American individual during this traumatic period?
That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified.
The stock market crash of 1929 caused a shortage of money in the banking industry. Many depositors panicked and attempted to pull their savings from the banks. Unable to pay their depositors, many banks simply closed. What protects banks' customers from bank failures today? Would this have solved the banking problem during the Depression? Businesses felt the impact of the crash of '29 next. Businesses had a surplus of goods, but could not sell them due to the public shortage of money. They were either forced to go bankrupt or lay off workers. Unemployment grew to 25% by 1933. Do you feel there are safeguards against a large chunk of the population being unemployed today? Unable to pay their bills, thousands of people lost their homes, and millions went hungry. President Hoover encouraged the American people to adopt rugged individualism, to, in his words, work themselves out of this economic depression. As unemployment, hunger, and homelessness grew, people became bitter towards the president. They called makeshift huts Hoovervilles, and pockets turned inside out Hoover flags. Do you feel the president was to blame? Along with the stock market crash in the early 1930s, a drought hit the Great Plains and damaged farms across a 150,000 square mile region called the Dust Bowl. With their crops buried under layers of dirt, ruined farmers loaded their belongings onto trucks and set off with their families to find work. Where will they go? Many headed west along Route 66 towards California, hoping to find work on produce farms. Many families did not make it or were unable to find any work. How do you think women, children, and families were affected by the Depression? Children had to grow up fast during the Depression. To add to the family's income, boys worked after school or were forced to quit school to help out at home. Often girls were kept out of school to stay home and look after younger children. Family life suffered as many unemployed men felt a loss of status. Men often abandoned their families or became aggressive and abused them. What other hardships did families face during the Depression? This photograph, taken by Dorothea Lange, is one of the most famous images of the Depression. It shows you a mother and her children in a camp for migrant workers in 1936. Take a look at the woman's face. How would you describe her expression? Why do you think this photo is often used to illustrate the effects of the Depression on the individuals? Do you feel our country could experience a depression as severe as the one from 1929 to 1941 today?